Hello, Jen. Thank you for having me. Hello, Vue Nation. So let's begin. It's a lightning talk, so we don't have a lot of time. The topic is PrimeVue, Next Generation UI Component Suite. So PrimeVue actually belongs to a suite of UI libraries that also includes Prime Faces, Prime React, Prime NG, and PrimeVue is the latest one. And this is where we use all of our expertise. We've been developing these UI libraries for 15 years now, and PrimeVue is actually it's taking advantage of being the latest one. It's developed by PrimeTek. It's a UI component library vendor. That's our only job. These are open source UI libraries, and all day, every day, we work on these UI libraries. We don't do consulting, training, outsource. Every day, we focus on these libraries. We are like 15 people now and growing every day. And thank you for your interest in PrimeVue as well. The last year, the Vue ecosystem finally picked the library, and we are quite enthusiastic about it and for the future ahead. So all of these libraries have reached 150 million downloads and growing every day. Okay, so what is PrimeVue? We have developed traditional libraries in the past. It's our only job, but this time we take a different approach. The motto is your components, not ours. So the idea is that usually component libraries provide you events, slots, props. So you are kind of need to talk to the library maintainer if you need something. But this time we took a different approach. Styling is all up to you. You can access the internals, add click events, properties yourselves without waiting for the library maintainer. For styling, you can use different CSS libraries. You can even use the unstyled mode and Tailwind Uno CSS as well. So at its core, it's more than 80 plus UI components, from basic stuff like avatar, selects, and let's say sliders. We also have advanced stuff like data table. I think it's one of the most complex data tables around, with row expansion, resizing, scrolling, virtualize. Everything is in cell editing. It's just you need to go through all the demos to find out. All of these components are open source and free to use. There's no paywall, as I mentioned. And accessibility has been, I think it's usually overlooked by the library vendors. It's not just like throwing a couple of area attributes around. I mean, we've spent like months on getting PrimeVue accessibility up there with the WCAG 2.2 specification and AA compliancy. We check with different tools. So we use how to achieve this. We use semantic HTML as much as we can with the forms. So because native browser elements are already accessible, when you try to add something on top of it, like native select is already accessible. If you try to add a skin on top of it, the drop down, we still use the native HTML inside to get the accessibility instead of writing JavaScript to do so. And in case we use the area attributes and roles for themes. We work with our design team and to make sure that high contrast is up there. And keyboard support is, of course, quite complex to implement, but for selects, tables, trees, PrimeVue is doing a really nice job about accessibility. And because there's a spec, there's a guideline, and we strictly follow that. And of course, screen readers as well, to make sure that the components are accessible to everyone. And as I mentioned, it is the approach is customizable. We have our own design called Prime1. We have 3 top-notch designers in our team that we work closely, and this is our default theme. And you can also use a bootstrap theme or a material theme. So this is the idea. The idea is that you don't choose a library based on the style. You don't have to choose a material library because just like you need a material theme or bootstrap, because libraries come and go, styling changes. There's some companies with their own style guides. So the idea is that the components are functional, accessible, and we just put skins on top of them. And the skins are in styled mode and unstyled mode. So this is the nice thing. You just need to do a switch, and your application will switch from material to your own custom style. And you don't need to write your application over and over again with different libraries. So the start mode yesterday we released Aura. It's our 2024 theme. We had the Lara theme. It was decent, but it was not enough for us because we are kind of obsessed with the look and feel. And we just released Aura. It will get better and better, and we will also provide more themes. So if you check out PrimeVue.org, we've just worked on it over a month, and I think we're quite happy with the results, and the reception was really good as well. And in unstyled mode, which is an interesting feature of PrimeVue, so usually components render some classes, like the input text renders p input text and p component. This is what a usual traditional UI library does. And if you set unstyled to true, then you just make it transparent, but it's still functional. The functionality and accessibility is there, but the styles do not exist. So you don't need to go through the documentation, learn about CSS style classes, try to override them. And if you find yourself trying to override the CSS, then maybe it's not the best practice, right? Because you're trying to fight the library. It's just these libraries are meant to make your life easier, not harder. So in unstyled mode, you're just free to go. It's like freestyle. But again, we need something to style them in unstyled mode, right? So that's where the pass-through comes in. It's another innovative approach. Usually the libraries, as I mentioned, you are in the mercy of the library maintainer. You just need to go to issue trigger, request a prop, send a PR, request an event, slot, and things like that. But with PrimeVue, with the pass-through, everything is exposed. The component internals are exposed. Like you can even bind events, attributes, classes to the component internals. For example, in this dropdown, we have a PT, and the root is exposed. The item is exposed for that, like say, list item and the clear icon. So with PT, you can add classes, which we will use for styling the unstyled mode. And the item, you can add area attributes, data taste ID for your favorite testing framework. And you can even add events, which is not very well known. And you can do it locally for a particular component, and you can do it globally for all the components so that you can share presets. And the pass-through, I don't have time to go through this example, but it's quite nice. I've seen a user requesting something like they had to clear after filtering of the small select component, they had to clear the filter after clicking the search icon. That search icon is there for cosmetic purposes, right? So instead of talking to us and requesting an attribute like on search icon click property, we just provided a solution where they can access, because with PT, they can add events to these search icon, and they had the access to the props and states. They just implemented what they required without waiting for us. So that was a nice tutorial that you can check out the Prime TV YouTube channel. And CSS libraries with unstyled mode, we have examples on our website. If you go to the unstyled menu, there's the Bulma example, a Bootstrap example, and the Uno CSS examples are there where you can use these libraries to style PrimeVue components. Tailwind is special because Tailwind is a nice fit to this unstyled approach, and there was a demand from the community. So we have taken this another step. We built tailwind.primevue.org. So the components we provide, actual Tailwind presets are actually global pass-through configuration that are applied to the components. The nice thing is that the components do not know that they are being styled as Tailwind. There's a new trend of Tailwind-based UI libraries, but as a UI component library vendor, we cannot really depend on Tailwind. It's not for everyone, So we need to make the libraries future-proof. So this is a nice thing. The components do not know that they're actually being styled with Tailwind because we use SFCs, and let's say dropdown.vue doesn't have any Tailwind inside. So there's also the preset gallery. We are providing new presets for Lara and Vint, and we will provide a preset for Aura and material design as well, for material number 3. And we have also created the gallery where you can create your own presets and share with the community. We have glassmorphic design, material input, material switch, and things like that. So the idea is the Tailwind project is to show you how can you build your own UI library. Usually, the people who does it, they usually do it for their internal companies, right? So that they can share their in-house libraries. So let's assume that you'd like to do a custom toggle switch based on PrimeVue input switch. PrimeVue input switch handles all the animations and the accessibility, Vue model integration, all the Vue stuff. And with your own toggle switch, you can just use Tailwind and give it a preset. and the way you like it. And you can expose it with a custom tag like toggle switch. And then the end result, which is, there's a live demo on it. If you check out the Tailwind website, you can even just build your own library based on this, and which is quite interesting. So there's a Figma UI kit for those who have designers in their team. We have good news. The Figma UI kit is there, and it's going even better. So right now we are integrating with the Figma tokens and Figma variables, and our new theming API will be based on design tokens. So the Figma variables will map to CSS variables, so that you will be able to generate themes directly from Figma, so that your designers will be happy because they don't need to, they can get exactly the look they need without, it will be automated, let's say. So the Prime blocks is an optional add-on. It's a paid add-on, but we will provide more free blocks for sure. It's like copy-paste ready blocks created with PrimeFix, but we are moving it to Tailwind due to community demand. But it's up there, it's optional, you can use it. But we have more than 400 blocks with application, e-commerce, and things like that. And there's also with templates. If you like a starter to quickly start with something, we have several with templates. And usually, what I see from other template, on the markets, they're usually kind of bloated because they get calendar from somewhere, data table from somewhere, and you will end up with a package JSON of 100 lines. And with PrimeVue templates, since these templates use PrimeVue, you will get only PrimeVue as a dependency, and they will be updated when the PrimeVue is updated. And there's also a free template called Sakai as well from one of my favorite games, Ghost of Tsushima. It's Jin Sakai. That's the name it comes from. Sakai is a free template. We will provide more free templates and blocks in the future as well. So let's wrap it up. The roadmap is quite busy. After this talk, I'll go back to work. And we have a new theme designer. We had an old one, but it's removed due to the new upcoming one. It will be an application where you can log in, you can create designs, export them to Figma or import them from Figma. Or if you don't use Figma, you can just use the visual designer, add your own designs. We already have top-notch Nuxt support with our own Nuxt module, but we will take it to the next level with more further optimizations for SSR. And CLI tool has been announced today. It's a nice tool to get you started, and it detects if it's a with Nuxt or whatever, and it will install PrimeVue, and also it will help you to fetch presets from GitHub, because Tailwind presets are not available on NPM due to their nature. You have to copy and paste them, and with CLI you can get it instantly as well. Advanced components, we had, as a component UI library vendor, we have to tackle some advanced stuff as well. So that's what we will provide: spreadsheet, event calendar, Gantt chart, HTML editor, and flowchart, all the advanced stuff that will be available as Vue components. And the theming API is coming out at the end of February. It's a design token-based approach with primitive semantic and component tokens. It will take the theming to the next level, because you can easily change the theming with CSS variables, the surfaces, everything, the density of the spacing, everything. And to wrap it up, we will also, by the end of February, we will have typography components, layout components like grid, things like that, drawer, stepper, and drag and drop utilities will be available in the second quarter, plus the RTL support as well. And I think in the next couple of weeks, we will finish the Tailwind presets and start working on the new presets like Aura and Material. So on behalf of my team at the PrimeVue team, all of these guys are working on these libraries full-time. You can find us on our Discord and GitHub discussions. We have a change of mind recently, and we are decided to more active than ever. So in case you have any questions, you can find me on Discord channel, and you can find us our discussions as well. Thank you. I think this year will be the year of PrimeVue, so keep an eye on the PrimeVue UI library. Thank you.
Thank you, and such good insights. We do have a few questions for you. First off, how do I properly say your name?
It's Çağatay.
Çağatay. Okay.
Yeah, Çağatay.
I will work on it.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Pronunciation.
No problem. No problem.
How does PrimeVue compare to other popular Vue 3 UI libraries?
As I mentioned, we have a different approach. It's not really traditional. We decided to expose everything with pass-through, and we also have unstyled mode, which I don't think that you have seen. This is not very seen a lot in the Vue ecosystem. So there's some Tailwind libraries, but PrimeVue also have a different approach on this. The components don't really depend on Tailwind. You can use it with any library, and there are the advanced set of the features like the data table. I think we have one of the best data tables around. Accessibility is top notch, and the UI look and feel has been revamped recently. And the pace of development, I mean, full time people are working on it every day, and every day PrimeVue is better than the day before. So it's really actively developed, and we would like to be the de facto standard. In Prime Faces days, there's a saying, no one simply doesn't use JSF with Prime Faces, and we would like to have this in Vue ecosystem as well. One simply doesn't use Vue.js without PrimeVue. We would like to be the de facto in it's the other than that, that will be maybe a failure for us because we are kind of obsessed with our work.
It's good to be obsessed with work, though, sometimes.
Yeah, especially in UI with all the details.
Yes, yes. And you actually, my first question was going to be about accessibility, but you covered it. So, and I loved hearing that. And I think you covered this one a bit too, but like, is there a feature that you're most excited about?
A couple of them. The new theming API, which is due in 4 weeks, is that it will take PrimeVue to the next level with CSS variables because SAS is kind of holding us back. It's not reshakable. It's statically compiled. With the new dynamic approach, the users can dynamically change the density of the components, the surfaces, primary colors, everything, and it will be reactive based on Vue's reactivity. So with one line, you will be able to change it. You will be able to share themes. That's coming up. And the designer app is usually exciting because that users can just create their own designs with the tool. The page builder, I briefly mentioned maybe, but the drag and drop builder based on PrimeVue blocks and components so that you can build UIs. And the CLI tool is also exciting as well to make our life easier. And yeah, it's generally these are the of course the tailwind process. We will provide more presets as well, like materials, so that you can with one line of code you can change your PrimeVue app from material to something else, or if you have a design system, you will be able to implement it with PrimeVue as well. So many things.
Thank you. All right. Can developers extend component functionality in PrimeVue?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the pass-through is for that purpose. In the video that I've in my slides, that you don't need to wait for us, or you don't even need to send a PR to change the behavior of the components. You can bind events to the component internals because you have access to every DOM element inside the component. You can add attributes and events and things like that. You can style them the way you like. You can extend them. You can build your own UI library based on top of it. We have guides. So it's like PrimeVue has started as a UI library, but now it's kind of going towards a UI, a base foundation to build UI functionality based on Vue.
Thank you. You talked a lot about just like how does PrimeVue compare to other popular UIs libraries, but how about anything you want to add about compared to the benefits compared to like
Vue,
Vuetify?
Vue. I think Vuetify is. I don't really like is commenting on other libraries, kind of focused on our work, but I think Vuetify is very popular in Vue 2. They had some problems with upgrading with Vue 3, and I think we have many users migrating from Vuetify. So I think it's based on material. So material is just a theme for us. So you can just apply material theme, and we have a data table, date pickers, and I think some components are missing in Vuetify. Customization, accessibility. I mean, best of good luck to Vitify team, but I think we are kind of doing some different. We are going to a different route.
Thank you. All right. With is PrimeVue styled mode similar to like Radix View?
Kinda, yeah, kinda. I don't really have a lot of experience with Redux Vue or Redux. I think Redux and Shed are ported from React ecosystem. Yeah, based on, but I think Redux is too much declarative. Like you write for a simple tooltip, you write popover content, popover arrow, blah blah blah. It's just too much content. So instead, we use the PT approach. You just write tooltip or popover, just one tag, and you access to the internals with the PT instead of writing like dialog header, dialog close icon, dialog. So it's kind of similar, but the core is kind of different. The idea is the same, I think, but the approach is different.
Awesome. Good to know. And last question, any advice for moving from naive UI to PrimeVue?
Well, I don't have any experience with naive UI, but good choice. Good choice. I think I'm not really sure, but usually you can just jump into our Discord channel, create a question about if you think that something is missing, that's available in naive UI and missing in PrimeVue. As I mentioned, we have some sort of useful OCD, kind of obsessed with it. We will just work on it and make sure it's available in PrimeVue. But I mean, we can just talk it on a case basis.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. We greatly
Thank you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Take care.